This video is a review of Walthers Mainline SW7. These are Illinois Central Gulf in the orange and white scheme. The road numbers on these two units are 1203 and 1206. Walthers offers these in two different road numbers in a DC version and then two different road numbers in a DCC and sound version. I'm going to talk about that here in just a second, but these two road numbers, 1203, 1206, these are actually DC locomotives. You can see on the box here they do say that they're DCC ready. I'm going to talk a little bit about the reason why I got the DC versions after I get done with the unboxing. So let's go ahead and do the unboxing and talk a little bit about the prototype. So I'm going to talk a little bit here as I do the unboxing. So the Walthers Mainline is their more economy based. The Proto series is their high-end models, much like the rivet counter for scaletrains.com and the Genesis line for Athearn. So this is more of a economical model for modelers who are on a budget. There's a couple pieces of tape here. We're just going to get the knife out, cut them. The nice thing about the Mainline series from Walthers is they use the same motor in both their Proto series and their Mainline series. So this actually has the same motor in it, electric motor, as if it were a Proto offering. So this is very nicely snug fit in the package here. So go ahead and get this pulled out carefully. There we go. Comes in a nice protective shell. And there we go. So before I talk too much about the actual prototype model, we'll just do a quick look at this. So this is a Mainline. It doesn't have as many of the details as what you're going to find on the higher end Proto line, but one of the things I do like, it does have a lot of the handrails and stanchions already in place. I'm just going to move it here just a little bit. Doesn't show up real great on camera, but there are some grab irons up top there. Horn. Here's the rear of the locomotive. Another little turn. A couple things that you're going to notice that are missing. It does not have factory installed windshield wipers on it. The walkways aren't see-through walkways. It does have some footboards. There's no MU hoses on it. But generally out of the package, it looks very nice. This is a very nice looking locomotive. So some interesting facts about this locomotive. This is produced by General Motors Electromotive Division between 1949 and 1951. Only 489 of these SW7s were produced. There were 15 of them that were produced in a cow-calf pair, and those were all purchased by the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. So of the almost 500 buyers of these SW7s, believe it or not, the Illinois Central Railroad, before it was Illinois Central Gulf, the Illinois Central Railroad purchased 50 of these locomotives, and that was the largest quantity purchased by any railroad from EMD. So this locomotive, the prototype, has, again, one of my favorite prime movers in it. It has the EMD 567 workhorse. One of the things that's different between this and a GP9 or a lot of the first generation Jeeps, this is a 12-cylinder model that was capable of producing about 1,200 horsepower. So it had good power for a yard switcher, but it is a 12-cylinder. Some of the earlier versions were 6 cylinders, and usually those were like the NW1s or the NW2s. So some of the spotting features specific for the SW7s, if you look on the long hood here, there are 6 doors with louvers on them. The radiator stacks, so this is the exhaust stacks, 2 exhaust stacks, and you can tell that they are coned. Has a single chime air horn on it, sort of the sloped hood going back to the driver's cab or the engineer's cab. A couple other things that are spotting feature specific for the SW7s. These are smaller cab windows. Some of the previous versions, the cab windows actually followed the contour of the roof line, so these are more smaller squared windshields. You can see the front grille for the radiator, both on the front and the top of the long hood. So another spotting feature, which is pretty common for the EMD switchers. These actually have Alco trucks on them. I'll zoom in here just a little bit so you can see them. Alco trucks. And again, this is a mainline unit, not a proto series, so the trucks don't have quite the level of detail that you're going to find in a higher end locomotive. But you know, again, if in my view, that's something I can live with. So overall general impressions of this, for being a mainline unit that I got for less than $130, this is going to be a nice addition to my layout. I got 2 of them, the only 2 DC versions that Walthers produced. The orange, Illinois Central Orange, is pretty prototypically correct. The font is correct for ICG, so really excited about being able to add these locomotives to my roster. So I pulled the other one out of the box too. So ordinarily in my product review videos, this is the part of the video, or I would have edited in earlier after the unboxing. This is where I would put it on the track, do some testing on it, test the sound, test the operations. But as I mentioned, these are both DC versions. They are DCC ready. There is no decoder in there. There's no speaker in there. The reason why I purchased DC, which I don't have a DC layout, nor can I run DC locomotives just because of how I got my layout wired up. It's not equipped to handle DC locomotives because of the electronics I have hooked up to my layouts. Last year, and I'll put a link in the description, I purchased some Walthers Mainline GP9s. They produce Illinois Central GP9s in the orange and white, and they did offer them with DCC and sound. I purchased them with sound, knowing that they were the ESU Essential Sound Unit decoders, and I had all sorts of trouble with those decoders, so I spent more money getting the DCC and sound version of those main lines, and I ended up having to purchase 4 brand new Loc-Sound 5 decoders to replace the ESU, the Essential Sound Unit decoders that came factory installed with them. So I knew if I purchased the DCC and sound of these mainline units that I was going to end up having to purchase new decoders anyway. So I just went ahead and purchased these as the DC only versions. They are DCC ready. They have Next 18 plug in them. And I already have 2 Loc-Sound 5 decoders, plus I got a couple speakers to put in them. So I'm going to go ahead and do a sound, or I'm going to do a decoder install and install the speakers in part 2 of the video series. So thank you for watching part 1. Go ahead and jump to part 2 to watch the installation of the Next 18 decoder and the speaker, and then I'm going to do a third part of this video, which is testing of the sound and the operations of the locomotives. So thanks for hanging in there with me on this video, and stay tuned. We'll get these things upgraded to DCC and get them running. Thanks guys.